Assalamu alaikum. Are you a bilingual student struggling with writing professional emails for your exams? Well, this video is here to help. In this video, I'll provide tips and guidance to write the perfect, impactful, and clear emails with confidence. Stay tuned. So, my name is Muhyiddin. You can call me the teacher, and I'm here to walk you through how to write the perfect email for your grade 12 exams. You can still be a grade 11 student and learn from this as well, or a grade 10 student and learn from this too. This is mainly for bilingual students. So if you're an IGCSE second language learner, right, you do not need to watch this video because writing the emails in that aspect is completely different. So we will look into something quite different today, which is for bilingual students. So please bear with me and watch with me. I'll share with you two past papers and I'll walk you through the formal email. All right. So let's dive into it. All right. Buckle up. Right. So without further ado, let's look into this past paper. Okay. This is a past paper, as you can see, it's from 21-22. All the questions, whether you choose one or two, you will have 20 marks, right? You will not have 5 out of 5. That is your normal assessment in school. But the actual final exam is going to be out of 20. Now here they ask you to choose one of these two. I'm not going to speak about the article now. I will not talk about that at all. I will talk about this in another video. But for today, we will focus on the email, specifically formal emails, right? We will not talk about informal email. We will talk about formal emails. So this is an email, and they're asking you here to write a formal one, right? They're calling it letter. Don't feel, do you understand? Oh my God, they're saying letter here. They're not saying email. They will say start your email, and here they say in your letter. Do you understand? So it's the same thing. Don't feel confused at all whatsoever. Now, before we talk about this, I want you to remember that there are different types of emails, and it's very easy to Google. Just go to Google and type types of formal emails, right? You will have these types right here. It's not very difficult. Any student can do this, right? These are the actual types of emails, okay? Now, there is a feedback email, apology email, cover email, registration reminder email, letter of complaint email, right? So all of these are different types. Inquiry email, request email, all of these are different types of emails that you probably have already studied at school, right, with your teacher. So we will try to look into the past paper now and identify which type of email we're looking at, okay? So they said, you have made the reservation at a hotel for a business trip for you and your colleagues. Brilliant, all right, this is very clear. So it's a reservation. I will highlight this word because I find it very important. However, right, so there's something that happened. You need to make some changes, right? I need to make some changes to your booking, right? Write an email or a letter to the hotel manager. So I'm writing to the manager, meaning this is going to be a formal email, right? Because I'm writing to a manager. In the letter, these 3 bullet points are very important, right? These 3 bullet points are very, very important. And they always start differently. Be careful. So they say, give details of your current booking. So the first thing that I have to do is give details. Okay, so I need to give details. What does it mean? What does it mean I need to give details? When they tell you you have to give details, here they're trying to say that you have to use a different type of tone. Okay, what tone should I use? What tone? Okay, let me just make this a bit bigger. What tone should I use? Because remember, it's very important to understand that in every email, you are addressing a specific audience, okay? And I want you to understand this in this way. So in every email, you have audience, okay? You also have purpose, and you have something called tone, right? This is in every email. Here in the middle, we put something called content. So any content, basically, even if it's not an email, it could be anything, right? This is how it is going to look like. This is how it's going to be. So it's going to be audience, okay, purpose, from purpose to tone. All right, this is how it's going to look like. This is very important. So if you're writing for the audience here, what is our audience? The hotel manager. The hotel manager is our audience right here. What is the purpose of writing the email? The purpose is to make changes to the booking, right? The purpose is to make changes to the booking. So what tone am I going to use? What tone am I going to use? You see what I mean? So I have to use a specific tone, right? And what is tones? For those who are wondering what tone is, let me just, right, there you go. So tone basically is the language used to express your mood. Okay, that is what we mean by tone. That's your tone, basically. Okay, to express your mood. Are you angry? Are you mad? It walks, right, with the purpose, basically. If the purpose is to apologize, your tone will express an apology. Do you understand what I mean? So the language that you will use will match that purpose, basically. So your tone needs to match the purpose of that conversation. And I always give this example to my students. If you walk in to one of your parents and you want to ask them for money because you want to go outside, you will not tell them, hey, give me £100. I need it right now. No, you have to speak to them politely because the purpose is to get money out of them. So your tone needs to be very, very specific and it needs to serve the purpose and the audience at the same time. If you speak to your brother, it's different from speaking to your mother or father. So this is where it is. This is a very important triangle that you need to pay attention to and you need to focus on when you want to create any content, especially if you want to write one. So that is that. So I don't want to make this video long. I just want to make it as short as possible, to be honest with you. But I had to explain this for you, right? So what tone should I use if they say give details? If they say give details, you have to use informative tone. Okay, or informative language. Let's call it informative language, all right? Means give information. Give information because you're giving details. If you don't give information about the current booking, you need to give informations. When they say details, they're talking about specific dates. They're talking about specific days, right? So that's what they're talking about, right? Specific rooms, locations, all of that. So these are the details that they need from you, and you need to mention them in order to get the full mark. And then you have, they say explain. They say explain. They use the word explain, which is very interesting. Explain. What do they mean when they say explain? Let me go down here. I'll write the word explain. What do they mean? What tone? Oh my God. What tone should I use when they say explain? Okay. When they say explain, you need to use explanatory language, right? Explanatory language, which is the type of language where you use words like because. Okay. I'm explaining something to you now, right? So what am I doing? I'm saying you have to do this because of that. I said you have to use a specific tone because it needs to serve the purpose. For example, when you go to your parents, so I need to use because and I need to give examples in order to make my explanation clear. So that's what you need to do. Explain what changes you need to make and why. So when you explain, you have to say why, which means because. Immediately, you have to use the word because here, right? This is clear. You have to use the word because. And when it says what changes you need to make, you have to give examples of the changes that you're trying to make. So it's very clear bullet points right here. And it needs to be included in the email. And then the third point, ask the manager, right? They say ask. They start this with the word ask. Okay, they say ask the manager to make some special arrangements for your business meetings. So ask the manager, meaning what kind of tone should I use when they say ask? What type of language should I use when they say ask the manager? Here, I'm trying to ask for something, right? I'm trying to request, right, something from someone. So again, it needs to be a polite tone. it needs to be a request tone. Do you understand? I need to ask. So it must be a question. Do you understand what I mean? Because you're asking right here. So it needs to be a question. It needs to be something that ends with a question mark. So this is what they want you to do in this last bullet point. You have to start with your email with dear ma'am and sir. You have to copy paste this. So you have to start in this way, right? You cannot start in any other way, ladies and gentlemen. Please be careful, right? And you need to end it yours faithfully. If you're a boy, Munir Al Alawi. If you're a girl, Munira Al Alawi, right? So it's different. So I'm a boy. I'm going to go Munir Al Alawi, and yours faithfully, of course. Okay, blah blah blah, all of that. And it's good that they give you these two, to be honest with you, because if I were the ministry, I wouldn't have given you at all those two words, to be honest with you, right? So let's give it a try. So here, what is the format of my email? Should I write a date? Should I write the subject of the email? No, you don't need to do that, right? That was something in the old curriculum. In the new syllabus, you don't need to do that. So dear sir, madam, and then immediately you start with a formal tone. I hope this email finds you well. This is very, very formal, okay? This is very, very formal. So you can start in this way, and I advise you to do so. This is a very formal way to start. I hope this email finds you well. Immediately, right? You try to identify what is the type of email. You need to make some changes. So you made a reservation, you need to write a letter to the hotel manager. So we need to make some changes. What type of email are we looking at? Is it feedback? Is it apology? Is it cover? Is it reminder, letter, email expressing your appreciation, meeting? Is it that? No. Is it inquiry email? No, it is a request email, right? So quickly we can look into these definitions of a request email, right? It is exactly what they want us to do right here. We are trying to request some changes to the booking. We want to make some changes, so we need to request that, right, from the hotel manager. We're not complaining. We're giving them details of the current booking, and we want to explain why we want those to change. And then we want to ask the manager for some special arrangement for the business meeting. This is it. Very, very simple. Some students ask the questions, should I divide these 3 bullet points into 3 different paragraphs? Of course you can. Yes, try to do that. Look at this. It's 200 words. Okay, 200 words email. That's a long email, to be honest with you, especially if it's formal email, right? So try your best to just mention all the 3 bullet points so that you can get 10 marks for the content. 10 mark for the content, 10 mark for the language. All right, this is very important for you to understand. It's 20 out of 20. So for content, if you mention these bullet points, if you mention these 3 bullet points right here, you will get 10 marks. Okay, and if you mention them using correct language, correct grammar, correct format, correct vocabulary as well, then you get to have the other 10 marks, right? So what is the format? So I hope this email finds you well. The first thing is the purpose of your email. What's the purpose of the email, right? So I'm writing this email, or the purpose of writing this email is to blah, blah, blah. So you have to give the purpose of the email. This is extremely important, all right? This is very, very important. The purpose of the email is extremely important, and you need to be a priority in this formal email. Then it says, give details of your current booking. Immediately skip a line and start with the first bullet point, right? When you finish the first bullet point, skip a line and go to your second bullet point. Then skip a line and go to the third bullet point. Okay? Then when you finish, you have to conclude your email. You have to conclude your email. You conclude your email with one of the sentences that go along this way. Thank you. And I would like to hear from you soon, or I really appreciate you going through my email, and I can't wait to hear from you soon, or thank you for your positive response, or I can't wait for your positive response. Do you understand? So it could be any of these sentences that is basically a formal sentence, but it would make sense to the reader as well. Okay, so we will end this email by saying, I hope to hear from you soon. That's it. I hope to hear from you soon. We keep it simple, and that's it, basically. Yours faithfully, blah, blah, blah. So always skip a line between paragraphs. Make sure you do that. And so this is one paragraph, another paragraph, another paragraph, and another paragraph too. And this is just a sentence. This is just a sentence. All right. So this is very important. You have to keep this. You have to keep this. So these don't change basically. The bold ones don't change. The only thing that changes is these bullet points. The purpose of the email, of course, changes. This is a request, right? And this is the start of the bullet point where you say, firstly, I want to highlight that the current booking is blah, 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 and you make the details, right? And then you skip a line and you try to explain. Again, you have to use the appropriate tones that we have mentioned right here. Okay, the tones, you have to mention those in order to get the full mark. Now, if we go and look into the mark scheme, now bear in mind this mark scheme is 5 out of 5. This is used to assess your assessment in school, right? Look here, and here is up to 300 words, so 200 words counts as well. Look at this. If you get 5, if you want the full mark, basically, you have to focus on these 4 different sentences. Message to the intended reader is very clear. Very clear. This is very important. Okay, it is very clear. Because if it's fairly clear, you're not going to get the full mark. Does that make sense? And if it's partially clear, you're not going to get the full mark. And if it's mostly clear, unclear, you're not going to get, and if it's unclear, you're not going to get the mark. You see what I mean? So all of these bullet points are basically the same, right? But they're different. Writing clearly, right? Writing clearly succeeds. Here, writing has a reasonable success. It's a reasonable success, right? But here, clearly succeeds in achieving its intended purpose. You see what I said? Purpose? What does this remind you of? Purpose, what does it remind you of? It reminds you of the pyramid. Purpose, right here. That's why this is very important, right? And then it says, uses language which is fully appropriate, right? Fully appropriate. Uses language which is somewhat appropriate. Look at the words. You see the words in the mark scheme, they're different. Somewhat, fully. Okay, extremely different word. Fully appropriate to reader and context. What are they talking about? To reader and context. So there is a link between the audience, right? And the context, which is the purpose. There is a link between the audience and the purpose. Okay? And then a varied range of structures, a varied range. Use different range of structures, a fair range. Do you understand? A fair. So you kept using those short sentences always and all the time. That's fair, right? The same vocabs here and there. The structures of the sentences is the same. The level of the accuracy is also fair. That's good. You get lower mark, but you're still in the range of 98%. But if you go into a varied range of structures, meaning you write short sentences, long sentences, you use linkers like however, furthermore, moreover, right? When you use all of these linkers, it's very, very important to make your email sound better, right? So this is a range of structures. Use simple sentences, compound sentences, and complex sentences as well. This is what they're talking about when they say varied range of structures. Vocabulary, you're not going to repeat yourself, and you will have to use vocabs that are linked to the topic. If we're trying to talk about booking a hotel room or changing the dates, you have to talk and use vocabs that are linked to booking a hotel room. right? Booking a hotel room, all right? So that is very, very important as well to look at. And don't repeat yourself. With a good level of accuracy, meaning you're very accurate when you use your vocabs, you're using the right choice of word, basically. You're not just putting words randomly into sentences. This is very important. Okay, so this is how you get the full mark following these bullet points right here. Okay, this is very important. Now, if you writing is clearly writing clearly fails to achieve the intended purpose, there is no purpose. There is extremely limited range of structures and vocabs, a frequent serious errors, right, and grammar mistakes and all of that, then you will lose marks. And bear in mind, they didn't say with a perfect level of accuracy. They said with a very good. With a very good. That means it doesn't need to be perfect, right? It doesn't need to be perfect. So be careful. That's very important for you to know as well, right? So you can still make one spelling mistake and get the full mark. That is fine, right? So this is very important. If we look at the second example of an email right here, it's also a 20 marker. This is from 2019, right? Again, this is also a 20 marker. Let me go a bit down. This is probably a different type of email. Let's read and find out. What's the difference between this one and this one? You and some of your friends are members of a volunteer club at school. This club distributes emergency supplies such as food and water to people in need. The club needs a van and a driver to deliver some items next week. There is a wealthy business person in your locality who has helped charity groups in the past. Now, write an email to this person to convince him or her, right? So this is why we're writing to convince them. You have to identify the purpose to cover the cost of the van and the driver. Brilliant. To cover the cost of the van and the driver. We have to explain the importance of this voluntary work. So we have to explain the importance as well to the specific individual. So the specific tone needs to be to convince. So we need to use persuasive language immediately. Convince, persuade. We need to use persuasive language here in this specific email, right? And we have to focus on 2 bullet points. Look at this. Only 2 bullet points. The difference between this email and the new one is that here they gave us the bullet points. They told us 1, 2, 3. But in this one, they put the bullet points in 1 sentence or 2 sentences, if I may. So, convince him to cover the cost of the van and the driver and explain the importance of this voluntary work. So 2 bullet points meaning 2 paragraphs, 2 main paragraphs, basically. So this is how you start your email. And this is how you're going to finish the email. Yours sincerely, right? Now, here they said yours faithfully. And here they said yours sincerely. Very interesting. Why did they do that? Right? So you always write yours faithfully when you don't know who you're writing to. Dear sir or madam. When you don't know the person, you say yours faithfully. But when you know them, you say yours sincerely. Mr. Al-Jabri. So you say yours sincerely. Okay, so remember, this is a tip that you have to pay attention to as well. So if I'm convincing somebody, I need to use a persuasive tone, right? I need to use a persuasive tone. So I need to use repetition. I need to use emotive language. I need to use the 5 senses if I have to. And also when I'm explaining, I have to use explanatory language, meaning I have to use because, and I have to say why, and probably give statistics as well. Why is this voluntary work very important? Do you understand? I need to give statistics, probably backup research, whatever. This is going to be a very persuasive, informative email right here. What type of email is this? So, what type of email is this? Let's look. This is, well, the businessman, blah, blah, you're convincing him. So if we go to the types of emails, again, we will find that this is going to be a request, because we're trying to request someone to request to cover the cost of the van, right? To request to cover the cost of the van and the driver, right? This is what we're trying to do. So this is it. This is what the email is going to be like, the same format that we followed. Dear Sarah, madam, in this case, you don't write that. You have to write the name of the person that they gave you. The purpose of the email needs to be very clear and formal as well. When you write in a formal way, avoid using, when you write in a formal way, avoid saying your, you are, I will. Avoid doing that. Do you understand? I am. Avoid doing that. Okay, you don't do this in formal emails. What you do is, how do I just, yeah, I'm just, do you get what I mean? You don't do this. What you do is this. So you say, you are, I will, I am. All right, what you do is this. Is there a tick that says correct, for example? No, I don't have that. Okay, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Here, there you go. This is what you're going to do, right? So avoid this and avoid using random abbreviations as well. Okay, so that's very important. That is it if you want to get the full mark. The same mark scheme applies to this one as well, right? Even though this one has bullet points and this one doesn't have bullet points. So this is how to write a formal email. I advise you, right, to look into different vocabs. If you want to get the full mark, use different vocabs in your email and vocabs that are linked to the topic. In this case, voluntary work, right here. Okay. And in this case, booking hotels and reservations as well, right? So this is very, very important if you want to get the full mark. And it's very, very easy to get the full mark in your final exam. So this is it. This is how to write your formal email for your grade 12 bilingual exam. Please let me know if this was helpful, right, in the comment section below. If you need any more, if you have any more questions, you can ask me, and wait for the informal email video. I'm going to post that soon as well. So this is it. This is the end of the video basically, and I've tried my best to explain everything you need in the formal email. I did not give you sentences or phrases that you should be using because I think you've already learned that in school, but the format is very important. The tricks and the secrets of the pyramid, where you have to focus on the audience, the purpose, and the tone, those are very important for your content, right? So that's what will get you the full mark. What will get you the full mark as well is using vocabs that are linked to the subject itself. I didn't mean for this video to be so long, so I'm really, really sorry. And if you notice, everything about this video is very informative, and everything about it from the start to the end is on point, and it's just about the lesson itself and nothing else. I will make another video about informal emails. So if you want to watch that, just let me know as well in the comment section. Just tell me whether you found this beneficial. Tell me if you have any questions. Give me suggestions for future videos as well, and I'll make sure to cook. Thank you so much for being part of this. I really appreciate you, and do your best in your final exams, grade 12 students and even grade 11 students. Bless you, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.